In this video, we will talk about how many resources were required to maintain a Roman legion at the peak of the empire's power. Let's start with the numbers. A standard legion of the imperial era consisted of approximately 5,120 heavy infantrymen. Add to this about 300 cavalrymen and hundreds of non-combatant servants and handlers. Each of these individuals was a unit of consumption that needed to be provided with food, clothing, and weaponry. The staple of a legionnaire's diet was grain, primarily wheat or barley. One soldier required about 1 kilogram of grain daily. The math is simple. A legion needed 5 to 6 tons of grain daily. Monthly, this turns into a staggering 150 to 180 tons of provisions. Now imagine the logistics. The grain didn't just need to be found, but delivered to the site of the camp. Therefore, endless supply trains always followed the legion. The soldier ground his own grain using hand mills, which also weighed a significant amount. Besides grain, the diet included olive oil, vinegar, wine, and salt. A person can survive for a long time without food, but only a few days without water. Each soldier needed at least 3 liters of water per day for drinking alone. In total, the legion required approximately 20,000 to 30,000 liters of water daily. If a legion was in an arid region, route planning turned into a strategic puzzle. The choice of a campsite was always dictated by proximity to a water source. Roman engineers were masters, but even they could not make water flow uphill without effort. Let's move on to transportation. A legion could not exist without pack animals. For every 8 soldiers, a contubernium, there was at least 1 mule. This means the legion had about 600 to 700 mules just for carrying tents and mills. Add to this the cavalry horses and the officer corps. A single pack animal consumes several times more food and water than a human. Enormous volumes of hay and oats were required to feed the animals. If a legion remained stationary, the surrounding fields quickly turned into a desert. The logistics of supplying animals were often more complex than supplying the soldiers themselves. A legionnaire's weaponry was a triumph of ancient industry. The armor alone, lorica segmentata, weighed about 9 to 10 kilograms of high-quality iron. Add the helmet, the gladius sword, 2 throwing spears, pila, and a dagger. The entire legion required about 60 to 80 tons of iron for primary equipment alone. But iron rusts, swords dull, and armor breaks. Mobile forges always operated within the legion to repair equipment. Leather was another massive resource. One tent required up to 40 to 50 ox hides. For the entire legion, this amounted to roughly 10,000 hides just for housing. Footwear wore out after a few hundred kilometers of marching and also had to be replaced. Let's move to a less obvious resource: wood. The Romans were obsessed with fortification. Every evening on the march, the legion built a fortified camp. This required thousands of wooden stakes, which the soldiers carried themselves. However, the construction of permanent castra required millions of cubic meters of timber. All these resources cost colossal amounts of money. The salary of a single legionnaire was about 225 denarii per year. Paying the salaries of just one legion cost the treasury 1.5 million denarii annually. Now imagine that at its peak, the Roman army consisted of more than 50 legions, which is about 300,000 men. And then there were accession bonuses for emperors and discharge benefits. Rome spent between 50 and 70% of its state budget on the military. So why did Rome, despite such monstrous expenses, continue to grow in power? The secret lay in the ability to organize the flow of resources. The Romans were the first to turn war into an industry. While the enemy relied on luck and courage, the legion relied on strategy.